that we've organized. American Legion is very happy to be able to open up our post and support this for the city and the citizens. I'd like to everybody stand up, and I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I will turn the mic over to Brent Engel, who will be the moderator this evening, and he will be giving all the questions out, and we'll get started. Thank you very much.
How about a hand for Bob Ringhausen? He's the guy who sets all this up. And his better half, I'm told, didn't help this time, like she usually does. So thank you, Bob. I have spent 30 years working in newspaper, television, and public relations. So I've been through a few of these events, and I tell you what, this is America at its best right here, at the local level, where people get a chance to discuss the issues in a positive, we hope, manner. Our founding fathers set up this system because they wanted the people to hold them accountable. We choose those whom we represent, and it's our responsibility to choose wisely. You'll hear tonight from the candidates for contested races on the Louisiana R2 School Board, as well as the Louisiana City Council, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th wards. All of these races will be decided on April 7th. My experience with these types of forums has taught me that the following system works best. Each candidate is going to be allowed a 2-minute opening statement in which they can say whatever they'd like. The candidates will then take turns answering questions that were submitted by the news media and you. We'll have 3 questions, and then we'll go to what's called a toss-up question, and this is something new that we're trying this year. Somebody will pick a question out of the box. It's not one that's been reviewed prior to that. So that ought to be interesting. It'll be a fresh question that nobody's had a chance to look at. Once each candidate has been asked a question, they'll have 2 minutes to respond, and then their opponents will get 2 minutes to address the question, even if it wasn't directed at them. There will be a signal given when candidates have 15 seconds left. Candidates, that's your signal. I will cut off those who exceed the time limit, and any of you who've been to one of these know that I've done it before and I'll do it again. The school board portion will lead off, followed by the city council portion. Candidates may not ask questions of each other and are encouraged to direct their answers to the public and avoid personal attacks. And should I believe candidates that you're engaging in personal attacks, I'll give you one verbal warning. I won't tell you what's going to happen after that, but there's something planned. To be fair to each candidate, we ask the audience to hold its applause until the end of each segment. So once the school board candidates are done, then you can applaud. Once each segment concludes, there will be a short break. And trust me, I have the bladder of a goat, so I will be standing in line for the bathroom too. Questions of a libelous or lascivious nature are not going to be considered, and some of your inquiries, though I'm sure very prudent and very important, may not get addressed because of the time allowed for each segment. However, a lot of the candidates will remain here after the event to answer your questions. So if you have something you want to ask, please approach them. If you do have to leave during the event, we ask that you please do so as quietly as possible. Bob mentioned that the Legion is happy to sponsor this event. We are happy to have them do that, and they do that solely as a community service. Neither the organization nor its members officially endorse candidates for elections. Now, one of our own, right here in Louisiana, used to hold the attention of crowds for hours upon end. His name was Senator John Brooks Henderson. And he once said that he wanted no other revolution than the right of the ballot box, because in America, elections force those in power to approve what was right and redress what was wrong, solely based upon the consent of the people who are being governed. Now, before we start, I have a couple of disclosures to make in the interest of avoiding the appearance of impropriety. I have had personal, professional, or organizational dealings with Pam Todd Watts, Ronnie Bryant, Moni Brown, Kathy Smith, Michael Starman, Tim Carter, Bryce Chandler, Russell Stevens, and Chris Ketters. In other words, 9 of the 13 candidates who are here tonight. So now with that out of the way, let's have a frank and in-depth discussion of the issues that are facing our community, and let's be thankful for that privilege. I now ask that the candidates for school board take a seat on the stage. Now, isn't that the right way to begin this? With a handshake. I believe I have not heard from LaTanya Chapman, so I do not know. There are a couple of candidates who will not be here tonight and did contact me. I will get to them when those races come up. So these are there are 2 seats that will be filled of the 3 candidates who are running for school board. And we will start, and these are in ballot order, by the way. First off is Pam Todd Watts. Ms. Todd Watts, you have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Okay. Don't think I need a microphone. My name is Pam Todd Watts, as most of you know. I'm a 1988 alumni of Louisiana High School. I currently have 2 children that represent the Louisiana School District in many activities. Currently, I am on the school board as the school board treasurer. I'm also active in Louisiana Bulldog Boosters and the president of the Bulldog Music Department and the Alumni Association. I love our school. I love what we represent. I want to represent the school, the students, and I'm very active in making sure that everybody knows I'm available at any time to serve the school board. Anytime you have any questions, just give me a call and ask me. My parents both are alumni of the school, and if you didn't see my ad in the paper, I have a bulldog. I'm very bulldog proud. I appreciate everybody's vote and support, and I appreciate everything that everybody's done for me in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was only a minute. You know, the less time you guys talk, the more time we have for questions.
Oh, dear Lord. Talk longer.
And by the way, Ms. Todd Watts, I'm told that you have to use the microphone so that we can pick it up. We're being broadcast on Tribcast. It's being recorded. I have a big mouth. It's being recorded for Tribcast. So tell all your friends and neighbors who aren't here that they can see it on that later. And of course, next week in the papers, the Louisiana Press Journal and the People's Tribune, you'll be able to see it as well. All right, Mr. Brown, you have up to 2 minutes to make your opening statement, sir, and please use the microphone.
I'll use the mic. Yes, my name is Marvin Brown. My wife Pam and I moved to Louisiana about 4 years ago. I'm a semi-retired forester, moved around quite a bit for my job. The last place we lived was in Oregon. But we're from this part of the country and are glad to be back with, close to our family. And I currently do some part-time work as a private consultant. And the reason I ran for the school board was, basically I think education is just extremely important. It's important to the kids that live here. I think we all have a responsibility to see that we give them the best opportunity we can. Even if we don't have kids in the school district right now. Pam and I, our 3 kids are grown, but we've got 4 grandkids who are in public schools in Missouri and Kansas. We want very much for them to have a good education and don't feel any different about the children that live here. Also, I think, a good education system is good for the city. Families that are looking to relocate, that's one of the first questions they're going to ask, is this a good school district? Businesses that are wanting to relocate, they're going to want to know whether it's a good quality school district, so it's important from that standpoint. And then, finally, we're here to stay. Like I said, I'm mostly retired. We want to be involved and contributing people in the community. I feel like my background and experience would let me be a good contributor on the board. I've served on a number of nonprofit boards over the years. I currently serve on 2 here in Missouri, the Forest and Woodland Association of Missouri and the Missouri Forest Products Association's Political Action Committee. So, and my most recent jobs were administrative. So I feel like I've got a lot of experience in the areas where the board has responsibility, like budgets and personnel and policy development. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We will now go to our first question, and it will be for Ms. Todd Watts. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. What do you see as the role of a school board member, and what will your curriculum priorities be? I'm sorry, I'm going to redo that, and I apologize to my 85-year-old mother and all you other English majors for ending a sentence in a preposition. Let me do that over. This will not cut into your time, by the way. Yeah. And I apologize to Dr. Baston, too, and another educator out there. What do you see as the role of a school board member, and what will be your curriculum priorities?
Okay, how do I turn this on? Is it on? Okay. First of all, there is a big misconception as to what the school board actually does. School board administers and oversees the school district. We as a school board should make sure that we hire proper administration to run our school board effectively. We as a school board are here to oversee what they do, to answer questions to the public, and to advise everybody to go through the process, the proper channels, to achieve what they want. This is a big misconception of the public. Yes, we are voted into it, but we do just oversee the day-to-day basis of what the administration that we have hired. What my goal is a school board member is to be very active within the school district, to oversee what is going on, to make sure that everything is running smoothly, and if there are issues, to take them to the school, to the board, and to the superintendent, to perhaps see an investigation, to make sure that the kids are properly taught, properly seen to, and the best thing of all, as a school board member, is I want the hugs from the little kids at the elementary. That, to me, is the best job I can do every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, you have 2 minutes to address the question.
Yes, well, as Ms. Todd Watts said, the main responsibilities of the board are in the policy arena, setting policy for the school district, also hiring the chief administrator, the superintendent, and looking after budget, doing those things in an oversight position. But also, I think one of the things that the board is responsible for, you know, we are elected, or I would be an elected representative, and that means that you need to listen to the constituents in this district and be able to be responsive to their concerns and their needs and be able to communicate that back to the members of the school district. So I think those are the principal responsibilities. Again, it's not a hands-on position. It's a policy-driven kind of responsibility that boards have. In terms of the focus on curriculum, you know, the things that I think are important are for people to enter their adult life having skills around good analysis, good communication, being forward-thinking, being broad thinkers. And, you know, so that covers pretty much the gamut of curriculum, from math to science to literature to English, the whole range of things that are taught in school. But I think in the end, it's not as much what you learn as it is how you develop skills that are going to help you handle the rest of your life. So.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, you will get a chance to address the next question first, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. It's been 25 years since a coalition of groups sued the state to win changes in the Missouri school funding formula, and yet the newly proposed state budget underfunds K through 12 education by an estimated $400 million. In addition, Missouri ranks 40th in the nation for state funding of schools. What can the Louisiana School Board do to make sure it gets the district's fair share? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, I think it's appropriate for board members to be politically active, and I do know my way around the state capitol. I was involved in legislative work when I was working in Missouri previously some years ago, and you know, I've had contact with representatives since that time. So I think it's really important to be able to speak up in the political arena, and I agree. There's a big shortfall in that formula responsibility. I was reading about that as well this morning in the paper. $400 million is a huge deficit that needs the state legislature needs to be able to address. I saw, you know, been kind of studying up on the budget, the information that Dr. Basden provided, and I know that that's 35% of the school's budget at this point. So it is very significant that it not be underfunded, and I just think there needs to be, you know, voices at the Capitol talking about that.
Thank you. Ms. Todd Watts, you have 2 minutes to address the question.
First of all, there again on the school board, we have to make sure that we hire a superintendent who can run our district and can be very well knowledgeable about what is going on in legislation. I'm going to say one thing right now. We have been very blessed with Dr. Basden. He's a very intelligent man and is always keeping us very well alerted on what is going on with the politics and the cuts. When we do the budget, he's very knowledgeable about what is going to be coming and taking place. A lot of times we can't always go on what the state is telling us. Budget cuts can come at any time. We can plan a budget, but we are very secure in our school system right now, and I feel very confident that with our new superintendent coming in, we're not going to have issues on that. But the budget and what's coming in from the legislation is going to be based upon what our superintendent can provide to us in budget. We also have to be knowledgeable of what's going to happen, but we also have to know that the state can tell us one thing one day and the next day it can completely change. So we always have to be prepared for what cuts might be coming ahead and what cuts might not be coming next. That's a very broad subject for any of us to have to handle at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Todd Watts, you will have the chance to answer the next question first, and you'll have 2 minutes. Dentro los próximos 20 años, está proyectado que personas de origen latina serían mayoría en los Estados Unidos. ¿Están las escuelas de Louisiana suficientemente preparadas para esta realidad?
Excuse me?
Yes. That's not a trick question. Here is the translation. Within 25 years, it's projected that people of Latin origin will be the majority in the United States. Are Louisiana schools doing enough to prepare students for this reality? You have 2 minutes.
You're absolutely right, and especially in the Louisiana School District, we have seen a growth in the Latin Americans and Mexicans, whatever, excuse my French there on that. Technology is our #1 goal at the Louisiana School District, and we are very close in noting the upcoming classes, what they are capable of, what they're not capable of, and we stay on top of that. We have a wonderful administration that can tell us in our monthly reports every month where the class rankings are, what we're expecting. Ms. Hamlet gave a wonderful acknowledgement of it at the last meeting. Excuse me, she was not there in the meeting before, of what's coming into our enrollment. Chuck Topinky takes a wonderful job of that, and also Todd Smith. They can alert us as what is coming. I do not feel that there is any issues. If we know in advance that this is going to come to our area, we will be prepared for it. That is not a problem. We will take care of the students that are coming into our school district. One thing about the Louisiana School District, we turn no kid away. We will be prepared as long as we have, and we do have that access to know what's coming into our school system. That's not a problem. I don't foresee that being a problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Yeah, talking to Dr. Baston, I think the school district's pretty alert and sensitive to that issue. If I recall, there are some opportunities for English as second language instruction. There are, I believe they mentioned times where they actually used an interpreter to be able to communicate with some of the folks that are coming in. So I think they're well aware of it. They have been addressing it with the right kinds of instructional efforts to bring people into the mainstream. So, yeah, I think they're well prepared for that change and recognize that it is coming.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, you will have the first chance to answer the next question, and you'll have 2 minutes. Is there anything specifically about Louisiana schools that need to be changed immediately?
I would not feel comfortable just blurting right out there with things that I think need changing, because I really haven't had that level of experience to judge things all that well. I know, again, talking to Dr. Boston, there's some financial needs that they have in the way of upgrading phone systems, continuing to increase the availability of technology, looking at security systems, looking at some of the physical plant issues. I know those are things that have been on his mind, and he's mentioned that to me. But in terms of program development, curriculum development, it'd be a little premature for me to say there's lots of changes that need to be taking place, I think.
Thank you. We will now go to a toss-up question.
Oh, that's okay.
Bob, it happens every time, doesn't it? I always forget at least once. Ms. Todd Watts, you have 2 minutes to respond.
What was the question? You gave me too long.
You want me in Spanish again?
That's okay.
Okay. Is there anything specifically about Louisiana schools that need to be changed immediately?
Yes, there is, and it really doesn't have to do with the school board. That is parents' activities, parents being involved in their children's lives, parents volunteering and helping out the school district. We have a lot of people that want to complain, but nobody that wants to step up to the plate and help and volunteer and be there for their kids. I am very proud of our school district. We take a lot of measures to make sure that our kids get a good teaching experience. We take extra measures, more so, and I have been to a lot of school districts, I've been to a lot of ball games, and I've watched a lot of different schools. There is no comparison as to what we put forth at our school district than other schools do. We make sure that our administration is covered, we make sure that our coaches are covered, and our students are always at the utmost importance. We make sure that our kids are minding. We make sure that discipline is number one. There is really, I'm very proud of the school district that we have. We have a phenomenal program, and we just need parents to stand up and take a stand and help us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I can't believe the toss-up question was the first one I pulled, so that's pretty amazing. Things are going well. And Ms. Todd Watts, you'll get a chance to answer it first, and you'll have 2 minutes. And the question is, school violence is always a concern. What are your thoughts on a security officer for the school?
This is something that has been talked over a lot during school board meetings, during the public. I have talked it over with a lot of parents, a lot of kids, and a lot of students. From what I have gathered, we have done a lot of security measures within our school system as far as what we've been capable of doing. Violence is going to happen no matter where we're at. Unfortunately, it can be at the softball field, it could be at Sunset Park. I feel that what we have done as security measures is satisfactory. Now, if something was to happen tomorrow, I would never live with myself if something happened and I said no to this. I do not feel at this current time that a security officer is needed within our school facility. And I say that because I want to make sure that the kids feel safe and they are not worried with somebody walking around, and I have been told that they would be worried if they seen somebody walking around. Like I said before, I've gone to many school districts. If you go to Clark County, they're in the middle of a field. You can walk through any door at any given time, and nobody ever questions you being there. Louisiana, you can't do that. Every door is locked at certain times. There is some more security measures that we need, but I feel that our technology department, we need voice over phones in our offices and in the teachers' lounges and rooms. That to me is more important right now than a security officer. But I am not saying that our kids are not important. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I think I would probably support the hiring of one. I mean, just from the standpoint that when it comes to the safety of kids, I don't see anything wrong with an overabundance of caution. I mean, it's it's really important that they are secure, that they are safe. That said, it would certainly be also a budget issue that would have to be looked at, and if it was a weighing of priorities, then you'd have to carefully consider what you're giving up to provide one. But given the fact that if there was in fact enough money and the priorities weighed themselves appropriately so that this seemed to be more important than some other thing that was going to be foregone, I would probably support one.
Thank you very much. We will now go to your closing statements. Mr. Brown, you will lead off since Ms. Todd Watts led off the opening. You will have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, thank you. Mostly I just, I really appreciate this opportunity to get to introduce myself to the community. Like I said, we're new here, but we're here to stay. We want to be involved. We want to be contributing members of Louisiana. We really enjoy living here. We've made some good friends quickly, and that's just been amazing to us. And I do believe, the background that I have would serve the school district well. I've got a lot of administrative experience. I've got experience dealing in political arenas. I've got experience dealing with boards. I know what's expected of board members, and I would just love the opportunity to be able to participate in that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Todd Watts, you have 2 minutes.
First of all, I forgot to introduce my family when I did start my introduction. My daughter Michelle Watts and my mother Catherine Todd is here, and I do have to apologize. My daughter Caitlin Watts is at a track meet at Montgomery City, which was rescheduled from last night, and she did volunteer to miss her meet tonight to come here tonight, and I told her that was more important. I would like to say that my past years on the school board has been very enjoyable. It has not been easy. I found out being on the school board, you're not everybody's friend. There's a lot of decisions you have to make in the best interest of the school and the students and the faculty. I appreciate everybody who has stood behind me and who has called me and voiced their opinions or who have had a complaint, and I've always tried to take care of the issue immediately. All I can say now is that I appreciate anybody that supports me from now on, and I don't know of anybody but Curtis Hendrickson that is more Bulldog proud than I am right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shake hands, please, and how about a round of applause for these candidates? Thank you. Now, as I said, there will be a short break. So let's just take a few minutes, and I'll come back up and give you a minute warning when we're ready to go with the first ward council race. Thank you. I'm sorry, why was 2 minutes at the front and 2 minutes at the back. That's why I was like, all right, well, hey, Neil, pod me up here. Well, actually, I pulled him out here, and I think I got him in line. Well, I didn't want to. Let's go ahead and start finding our chairs, please, and I'll ask the Nancy Evans to come up, please. Mr. T.C. Powers contacted me this afternoon and said that because of his work schedule, he would not be able to make it tonight. He is working, but he did send me a statement, which I allowed the candidates to do if they couldn't be here. And so I made an executive decision, and we're going to go ahead and read his statement first, and then Ms. Evans will be given a chance to do her 2-minute opening. We'll ask her questions, and then she'll do her 2-minute close. So she will have the floor all to herself after I read Mr. Powers' statement. And the statement is this. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank the American Legion for hosting this event, as well as KJFM, the Louisiana Press Journal, and the People's Tribune. I'm not able to attend tonight's event due to a work commitment I cannot reschedule, but I wanted to have my personal statement read as I am committed and invested in this city's well-being. I chose to run for the City Council because of a strong belief that it is my civic duty to be involved in the decisions being made at the local government level. As former Speaker of the House Representatives Tip O'Neill once said, all politics is local. It is my belief that you can't just watch from the sidelines and expect the outcomes to be the way you want them. You have to get involved and help make things happen. I have been out in the First Ward and have met many constituents, and the common theme seems to be a couple of different issues. We want our roads fixed. We want City Council to stop fighting and arguing about stupid things when they should be fixing things. Those were in quotes. Those two themes are prevalent in the First Ward, and I would dare to say that is common thought in other wards in Louisiana. I find myself agreeing with my fellow neighbors and citizens. I also think about other basic infrastructure needs that will also make the quality of life for our fellow citizens better, and they are as follows. Improve the water system. Actively search for another fiber optic broadband provider. Work with other local and state agencies to bring much needed resources to our area. This is a short list because I have a time limit, but there are other areas we can improve. I have served in both the public and private sectors, as well as helping to run a very successful small manufacturing company with my wife here in Louisiana. I have a background of service, starting with enlisting in the U.S. Army right out of high school. I received an honorable discharge and later served as Veterans and Business Outreach Coordinator with U.S. House of Representatives. My most recent local government role was serving as Economic Development Director for the City of Louisiana under the previous mayor. I'm a person who knows how to get things done. I know the importance of playing on a team, and I possess the ability to work well with others even when they may have a different position. I ask for your vote and your support on April 7th. Thank you. Ms. Evans, you have 2 minutes to make your opening statement, please.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the American Legion for this opportunity to share thoughts on some of my life experiences. I know. Is it on? Yeah. Okay. I was born in Louisiana and grew up on a farm between Troy and Hawk Point. I'm a registered nurse. I put myself through school and worked at the same hospital for over 20 years. I worked throughout different places in the hospital. My highlight of my career was I was the nurse manager of a residency program clinic in a 600-bed level 3 hospital. I own and manage a successful business here in Louisiana for the past 10 years during tough economic times. I have attended nearly all the committee meetings and council meetings for the past 7 years. I've seen what's gone on. I look at Louisiana's future through the windshield, not the rearview mirror. Our most significant needs, streets, infrastructure, and community services, have been ignored for too many years. In order to finance our needs, we must promote economic development in Louisiana and continue working on a comprehensive city plan that can be sustained by future administrations. Louisiana cannot afford to settle for status quo. Our citizens deserve a council willing to work together to save our community. I want to be part of that council.
Thank you very much. We will now go to the questions, the first of which is this. What are you hearing from people about realistic solutions to end the acrimony and controversy that has plagued Louisiana city government for the last several years? You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Again, one of the top things that I have heard is streets, water department problems, and people do not understand that they think Louisiana has deep coffers, that there's this big bunch of money that's sitting out there that's not being used. In order to get things done with streets and whatever, our only hope is to get more businesses and stuff into town. People are not happy with the current goings-on in the community. There's a big negative element that is trying to crush every good thing that's been going on in the city, and it needs to stop. We need to get into positive mode, and we need to keep things going forward. They're going forward. We need to keep them moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, the shorter your answers, the more time you have to answer questions. Your ward includes one of the most important entrances to Louisiana in the Champ Clark Bridge. What, if anything, can the city do to make sure that that project continues to be a priority? You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Our wonderful mayor just recently went to Jeff City, working very hard to keep the bridge as a priority on Missouri's list of important things to get done. That bridge is incredibly important to this community, and I did not realize how important until the mayor was working on asking questions of people to how to keep that going. I think as a community, if we can send messages to Jeff City, to the highway department, to the whatever, that we've got to keep this bridge. It is extremely crucial to our community. We lose that bridge and we're history. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Thank you very much. The next question is this. Critics have charged that Louisiana has not taken advantage of its historic downtown or riverfront. What can the city do, if anything, to promote these two areas? You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Right now, we have several groups in town that are doing incredible jobs working to fill the businesses in the downtown. LEDC has brought in a number of new businesses and is continuing to look for businesses to bring in, and I'm feeling really good about their accomplishments. In addition to that, we have a group in town that is working very diligently on the riverfront. To me, the riverfront is one of Louisiana's biggest assets. We need to do something with it. I've seen numerous committees over the years. At one time, I think there was like 3 different committees working on the riverfront. We now have a really progressive group that are making steps forwards into doing something that, with the riverfront. The bicentennial is coming up, and they have plans on completing something down there by the time that comes.
Thank you very much. We will now go to a toss-up question. This comes from an audience member. After election, if you are elected, do you plan to schedule meetings with citizens to learn of their questions and concerns? You have 2 minutes.
I will always be available to any of the people, actually in town at all, but in my ward that have problems or questions. I have been out and visited many of the people in my ward, and I've already got a list of things that I want to check into and get answers back to them. I think it's important that people feel like they are a part of our city government instead of being afraid to approach the city government. For years, we've had this thing of, you better not say something or they'll be out to get you. That's got to go. I'm done with it. We have a wide open, come on down, talk to us. People need to come to city council. They want to know what's going on. That's where it's at.
Thank you very much. At the beginning, I read Mr. Power's statement, and I read that through because he was not going to be here to close. So he had both an opening and a closing all in one there. But ma'am, I will give you 2 minutes to address your closing statement.
Thank you. I've been blessed with a lot of life experiences and have learned a lot from each. As a nurse, I learned problem solving by thinking outside the box, and I've done a tremendous amount of research. As a business owner, I've learned what it takes to survive and the importance of tourism to our community. Tourism is a biggie. For the first time since I have returned to Louisiana, I see positive things happening. Our city government has made great strides in the direction of economic development. Planning and zoning is updating our city plan for the first time since 1970. It's involved our youth and city government on the youth council. LEDC is filling up our storefronts downtown with new businesses. HPC has become more user-friendly to help businesses while retaining our historic heritage. The Riverfront Group is moving forward with plans for what I consider our greatest asset, our riverfront. We have so many great, positive people working for Louisiana. I'm frustrated with people who say nothing's happening here. I challenge them to get involved with one of these groups. Be a part of these groups. Come to the council meetings. Now I am asking my community to support me as your representative on City Council in Ward 1. I promise to work hard for you. Please vote for me. Let's put the unity back in our community.
Thank you very much. Nancy Evans, and she is competing with T.C. Powers in the 1st Ward for the seat that was left by this man right here, Neil Darnell, who's running the sound system tonight. So let's give them all a big hand. Thank you very much. Yes, that's the 2-year spot. I don't have to go to the restroom, so I say we just, and we're ahead of schedule, so why don't we just go right ahead and go on into the next segment. That'll be 1st Ward with Ronnie Bryant and Mona Brown.
Frank, can I get a step?
There is water behind you.
Okay. Ronnie, would you like some? Oh, you got it. No, thank you. This one? Okay.
Are we ready, ladies? Okay. We will then go to our opening statements, and Ms. Bryant, you were up first. You have 2 minutes.
I'm Ronnie Bryant. I'm from here. Okay. I'm Ronnie Bryant again, and I'm from here originally. I went to St. Louis for a little while, and I'm back again with my family. And I got involved with the city government just because I'm interested in it, and it ended up kind of sticking with me. So, and I go to all the meetings, or pretty much all the meetings, and record them, put them on YouTube. And I'm just interested, and I like to help people. So that's really where I'm at.
Okay, more questions coming. Thank you. Ms. Brown, you have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
If I sing a song and that takes longer, would that help not get as many questions?
Still 2 minutes.
Darn. My name is Mona Brown, and I've been involved in quite a few things around town. I look across the room, and I think I know quite a few of you, probably most of you. I'm involved in, I'm sitting on the city council right now. I was elected in 2010 for a term on city council, and then I was appointed last November by Mayor Niedner to fill the term left by Tim Carter. I'm also on the Chamber of Commerce Board. I've been on that for quite a few years and held all the positions, currently treasurer on that. Run a successful business with my husband here in town, have lived here since 1994. We've been married since 1995, which means 20 years this year. I've almost got him grown, so we'll be doing good with that. I'm interested in everything that happens in this community. I've been involved for a long time, and I want to stay involved in it. And even if I'm not elected to city council, I'll definitely still stay involved, just as I have over the last 3 years.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bryant, you will have the chance to answer the first question first. You'll have 2 minutes, and the question is this. Your ward includes much of the historic district and a lot of older homes. A lawsuit filed earlier this month alleges that the city did not act properly or did not properly inspect or give a residency permit to a home that later was the scene of a fatal fire. Do you think the city's inspection process needs to be changed? You have 2 minutes.
I believe that it definitely needs to be enhanced, I suppose, more in-depth. I think right now it's every 2 years for the inspections on the rental properties, and they don't do everything that I would think needs to be checked. I don't know all the details, but this has came up before. And so I think that they need to make it a little more in-depth, and it's terrible what happened, and I'm not going to say very much on that otherwise.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, you have 2 minutes.
It's difficult to address this situation It is pending litigation, I understand. I am a seated council person. I am also a business owner in this town that deals with electrical and HVAC and so forth, and we've enhanced our inspection process for commercial properties most recently, and that we passed an ordinance where they have to actually be inspected, and it was not required by ordinance before. I think that we need to address the situation as we can, and I'm not really certain what I can actually say to that because of the pending litigation situation.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, you will get a chance to respond first to this question, and you'll have 2 minutes. A lot of people seem to be fed up with what they call bickering at City Hall and lawsuits that will ultimately cost taxpayers money. What are voters telling you about the issues that are important to them? You have 2 minutes.
The same things that are important to all citizens in this town, I think, are our infrastructure, our water, our roads, how we get from home to school to work to play, our recreation, etc. I'm not certain where the whole bickering at City Hall thing comes from, though, because I've seen way less of that than we've had in the past. And actually sitting on the City Council now, I felt just so energized and actually happy to sit there and have conversations with people that seemed to genuinely want to know what it was that I had to say for my constituents, instead of just basically telling me nobody wants to listen to you. And I think that our present administration is striving very hard to include all of the citizens in this town.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant, you have 2 minutes to respond.
I just forgot what I was going to say. There is a lot of fighting and just senseless going back and forth with a lot of people. It seems like it's divided pretty heavily, and I don't think it should be like that, obviously. I think everybody needs to try to get along, and it's not productive for us to continue to have one side and the other side. I think it's ridiculous. And so that would be the people. That's one big thing that they do say is this town is ridiculous and stuff like that. And I don't think it is. I think it's got a lot of promise. I think that we can be just as good, if not better, than what it used to be. When I was growing up, it was really good, memorable. So I think that we can get back that way, and the other things are the obvious things, the streets. We need new streets. One thing that I do see as being something we could do is grants. Seems like nobody's really working on that. And then there's other things working with the other government entities that can help. And I guess that's about it.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant, you will get the chance to answer the next question first. You will have 2 minutes, and the question is this. What do you think about merging the Human Resources Committee and the Personnel Committee? You have 2 minutes.
You said Human Resources and Personnel.
What are your thoughts on merging the Human Resources Committee and the Personnel Committee?
I think they're pretty much the same thing, or at least they could cover the same thing. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I think it'd make it more efficient just to have one committee versus 2 committees doing basically the same thing. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brown, you have 2 minutes.
I'm a little confused by the question. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have a personnel committee. We also don't have a human resources committee. We have a human resources commission. And those are appointed people that their function is being questioned right now as to how it should work. It's like some of the other committees that we had. They've been in place for so long that nobody even really knew exactly what they were supposed to do. It's not listed in an ordinance anywhere or a resolution that you could look at. There's no handbook or guide that says this is what you do today. So that's one of the things that we're definitely looking at. But to the best of my knowledge, there's no personnel committee.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now have a toss-up question. And Ms. Brown, you'll get a chance to answer it first. And it is this. It has to do with the city administrator's job. As a council person, would you encourage better supervision of city supervisors For example, street supervisors, water plant, sewer plant, and distribution supervisors, as well as the city administrator. You have 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Oversight is the city administrator's job. And without oversight of those positions and not knowing what they are actually doing at any given time, you lose that oversight. You lose the information that's necessary to do the job and make sure that the things are getting done that need to be done, such as our water plant. The city administrator is a very important job. It's a professional job. It's a professional position. It's not elected for a reason. There's a person that's hired for this job that's supposed to be capable of doing all these different things or overseeing the people that do the different things. So I think, yes, definitely they need the supervision, but they also need to allow the superintendent or city administrator needs to have a mechanism in place where the people that are on the day-to-day job can actually tell them what's going on, that they can actually be the ones that have the hands-on, the ownership of their jobs and pride in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant, you have 2 minutes to respond.
I think that spending almost $80,000 a year on a city administrator, they should have pretty much everything sewn up in there. I see no excuse for some of the things that have happened in the past, and I think that there's definitely room for improvement, and Mayor Niedner has really tried to work with the different department heads and make them actually responsible, a little more responsible. So there's delegation, so that's good. But there needs to be more oversight by the city administrator as far as at least knowing what's going on and keeping in contact and having the flow from, bottom up, I guess you would call it. So I believe that it's definitely important for the city administrator to at least be in communication, close communication with them.
Thank you. We will now go to our closing statements. And Ms. Brown, you get the chance to lead off first since you were last in the opening statements. So you have 2 minutes.
I don't have a prepared statement. I speak from the heart. I love serving our community. I'm involved in the community with lots of different civic groups. I'm involved on the chamber. I'm involved on the city council. Color Fest for years, which is where a lot of people know me from. We love this town, and we want to see it be successful, be prosperous, and I think we're on the right path. Right now, there are a lot of things going on, and the energy is just amazing. It feels good. It really does. And I look forward to serving Ward 1 for the next year.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant, you have up to 2 minutes.
I want to thank everybody for coming and supporting anybody. Whoever's supporting me is fine. Great. Thank you. And Bob and Brent. And this is not a prepared statement for my closing statement. I don't have one either. I just came back and got involved and kind of like fell in love back with my hometown. So, and I just think that there's so many different things that can be better as far as, and like she said, that, there's good things happening right now, and the flow needs to, the energy needs to keep going. And so I'm available for the meetings. I have some different ideas. I used to work for the city of Winsville, so I know a lot about the finance and whatnot, and the growth that they went through. And I do not want Louisiana to be a Winsville, but some of the things that they've done have been great, and they're good at benchmarking things. So otherwise, that's pretty much it. And I just would like to be a part of the city government. And if I'm not elected, I still will be here. I've been coming to the meetings now for like 2.5 years, I guess. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been at it an hour, and we still have 3 more races to go. But let's shake hands and give these folks a round of applause, please. This is for the seat that an upcoming candidate resigned because he moved, and you'll meet him soon. So thank you, and yes, we will take a 5-minute break. Thank you. Our next...
I didn't think about putting you on the end. There is a step there, isn't there?
You didn't give me a beer.
Leave it there.
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
You know, actually, I have family
The last word is the fourth. Oh, you mean the last one?
even though I don't know
That's the one. And we still got the second, third, and fourth wards coming up. But we're ahead of schedule.
Libya Street Committee is actually. That's what I thought I'd been initially. They said, I was like, that's not a thing. Right? That's not a thing. It was on my list, man. I'm like, okay.
Get up there tonight? Feeling trailer man
There, that made that.
I think what they meant is they wanted you, well, they wanted you, like, I didn't believe it was going towards like policy. So, yeah, for the first time, that City Hall actually.
Please start to find your seats again. We'll begin in about 1 minute with the second ward, Kathy Smith and Mike Starman.
How are you? Oh, man. You could come up here and help me.
There's some pretty tough ones here, actually. But I think you're used to doing that.
Yeah.
Wow, this is better than a school class. Mrs. Hoffman, don't you wish you would have had these guys around? Look at this. They're all silent and sitting in their chairs. This is the race for the second ward seat. If any of you know Deputy Michael Starman, he does have a lot of commitments, and he did have a work commitment tonight, which prevented him from coming. He contacted me a few days ago, and this has been scheduled for a while. So again, I'm going to read the statement that he provided to me. Is going to serve as his open and his close, and then we'll go to Ms. Smith and allow her to have her opening. We'll ask her some questions and then give her a chance to address her closing. So this is the statement I received from Michael Starman. My name is Michael Starman, and I am running for Louisiana Ward 2 councilperson. I regret that I am unable to attend this forum. I had an obligation for canine training that was scheduled well in advance of the scheduling of this forum. It would be at the expense of taxpayers' money that I skipped the training. For those who don't know me, I've lived in Louisiana my entire life. I was born and raised here. My grandparents were business owners in Louisiana for several years. My father owns a business in town, Rob's Auto Care. I am currently employed at the Pike County Sheriff's Office as a Patrol Division Supervisor, Sergeant, and Canine Unit. I have been asked how City Council meetings will conflict with my work schedule. The answer is rather simple. I am off on City Council meeting dates. I feel that I have proven that I am a leader through my employment. I have risen through the ranks at a fast rate. I have been a narcotics detective, and I currently supervise a patrol unit. I think some leadership is needed on the council. While watching the meetings, I witnessed the mayor making numerous requests for nominations based on ideas that he came up with. Very rarely does any member of the council make any suggestions as to how we will fix the streets, water and sewer pipes, sidewalks, etc. I haven't heard any member of the council make any recommendations about what we can do to fix the low hiring and retention rates of the fire department. Since Sal Paulus left office, there have been no recommendations as to what we can do to retain police officers. I do not want to be a person that sits at the council bench and just says yay or nay. It takes a leader to bring new ideas to the table to move Louisiana forward. I want to examine these problems and find creative ways to combat these very serious issues. If elected, I will do my best to make sure that the city becomes more focused on today's needs. We have focused so much attention on building for the future that today's needs seem to have been neglected. The streets and sidewalks are crumbling before our eyes. We need to get some streets and sidewalks fixed now in order to attract new businesses. No business will want to move their operation to Louisiana after they drive through town and see the condition of our roads. It sends a message that we don't care. I know the current administration is trying to build for a better future, which will hopefully provide additional income in the future to fix these aforementioned problems with the streets. But these streets cannot wait another 10 years to be fixed. By then, they will be crumbled and the street will ultimately be gravel roads, if not worse. The city, whomever's fault it may be, made a significant mistake regarding the LT2 water project that we have been all reading about in the paper. It is my belief that the city made a mistake and the city should pay for it if possible. If elected, I will do my best to ensure the city explores every possible funding opportunity to combat this difficult situation. My main priority will be helping work with other members of the council administration to find solutions for the city to provide safe and affordable drinking water to you. I will seek that the budget be focused on the needs of the citizens, clean and affordable water, quality law enforcement and fire services, better streets. I will make informed and investigated decisions. Let's start moving forward and focus our attention on the tasks at hand. I am asking for your vote on April 7th. I will do my best to see that the citizens' needs are met. Ms. Smith, you have 2 minutes to give your opening statement.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you to the American Legion and everybody sitting here tonight. It's very encouraging to see the turnout that we have. I think most of you know me. I've been a long-term resident here in town. We own a business here in town for the past 45 years. I've been on the council 6 years, or 8 years, excuse me. And I feel like the community service that I've given has made me more aware of what the city needs. I'm always available to the city, to the citizens, and I've had several come in just to talk to me about their concerns, and I think I've addressed those concerns. And I think it's time to work together. We can do this if we do it together, but we need everybody's help. It's just not the 8 people sitting up there making the decisions that need to be done for the city. It's everybody working together.
Thank you. Just because your opponent isn't here doesn't mean that you can go short, because I'll just keep asking questions. Trust me, I'll do it. And I'm going to skip one question since Mr. Starman isn't here and go to this because you addressed it and you're open. From what residents have told you, what do you consider Louisiana's greatest need, and how will you specifically go about fulfilling it? You have 2 minutes.
Our biggest need right now is the economic development of the city. We have to bring new businesses in. The only way we can address the antiquated infrastructure, the streets, the sidewalks, the lighting, is to increase our revenues, because our revenues are really low. We do not have the money to address these issues right now. So the economic development is the most important issue that we need to address, and we are in the process of addressing. Have a wonderful tool coming up. I don't know if you all have seen the video that was done by Community Edge. It was fantastic, and it's it really highlights the wonderful community that we have.
Thank you. Louisiana seems to have few allies. How can the city build relationships with Pike County, the state, and other areas to be competitive in an ever-shrinking world? You have 2 minutes.
We will have to, like the mayor has already been to Jeff City, to address the bridge issue, and that's how we get started into communicating with the county and the state. I have been to Jeff City, I could not tell you how many times in the last 25 years, just about every year. I worked with economic development when I worked at the county, so I know those people up there, except the commissioners, of course, are new from when I was up at the courthouse. I've met a lot of legislators, have a good rapport with them, talk to them every time I go to Jeff City when we go for training, and that's another way to get in touch with these people. Is it's so important that the council members go to Jeff City for the annual training that they have in June. You get to meet these people that you talk to, you get to see their faces, they learn who you are, and then you build a rapport with them, and then therefore you can have more ease to talk to them and ask for help.
Thank you. Your award includes areas that have been discussed as potential sites for a port authority or industrial expansion. What steps can the city take to make that development easier?
Well, part of the expansion, of course, is the 2 corridor, or the 79 corridor, and the corridor for on D, which is what some of us old-timers, I guess you would say, call Ordonia, because that's how we remember it. The housing project across from Hercules and Dino is a wonderful place to put an industrial park. The Port Authority, I think they've got 2 sites in mind, one of them being Wayne B. Smith's, and then the other one down at Wholesome. Wholesome is the other site that that we're working on to work on as part of the corridor to market and to get businesses to come here in Louisiana.
Another riverfront question coming. Citizens who volunteer their time have helped to bring about useful policies, such as the Bicentennial Riverfront Commission. Mm-hmm. Are there other problems that could be addressed this way? And how would you entice new volunteers to take part?
That's a really good question, because it is really hard to get volunteers involved. I have learned that in the past 25 years that I've worked in community betterment, 11 years with LEDC. And, I mean, everybody is always looking for volunteers, and that's one thing we have to ask more of the community. The hard part is they have put in their time, whether it be with their church or their community or whatever that they that they volunteer for, and people get wore out. And that's the realistic part of it, because it generally falls on the people that really get out there and do the work. The Riverfront project, the design that they have put together is just phenomenal. If we can pull this off, this would be great if we could get this one Riverfront project really going, and I think it's really going to happen. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. If you go into City Hall, you'll see one of the very first ones done. I believe it was in the 1940s, hanging on the wall. So, you know, we've had a lot of projects, we've had a lot of drawings about the riverfront, but I think this one time we're going to get it done. The people that are behind it are fantastic, and they're movers, and they're going to push it till we get something done down there.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to a toss-up question, and it is this from an audience member. Would you like to have more festivals in Louisiana, and could we attract them? You have 2 minutes.
The Color Fest is just darn near a year-long project, so that requires, that's going back to the last one with the volunteers. I think we should have more events. I'm not so sure if festivals is the word that I would use, but I think even if we had something quarterly, you know, or something like that, would be fantastic to bring people into town. They come in and spend their money, which will help our tax base, which will help our streets. But I'm not so sure if festival would be the issue. I think events would be better.
Okay, thank you very much. We've come to your closing statement. You have 2 minutes.
Again, thank you so much for coming tonight. I asked for your vote again this year. We're really working hard and moving forward, and I want to continue to be part of that project that's going on. But like I said, and we can do this. We can do it if we work together. So my last statement was, let's work together, let's move forward together, and let's build a better Louisiana together. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't have to ring her up once. I have a feeling, I know I'm supposed to be nonpartisan in this, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to ring the bell in the next segment, so just to warn you. And we will not take a break. We'll go right into it. 3rd Ward, Tim Carter and Bryce Chandler. All right, gentlemen, I believe we're ready to go. This is Tim Carter and Bryce Chandler for the 3rd Ward seat. Mr. Carter, you're first on the ballot, so you will have 2 minutes to give your opening statement.
Thank you, Brent. First of all, I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. It's very important to see your candidates and ask questions, and I look forward to answering any questions after this. I want to show you something here. I'm a retired fire chief from the city of Hannibal. I've served 25 years in the fire service. I'm still currently employed with a Boeing company down in St. Louis. I'm their fire operations manager. When we retire, we usually commiserate that with receiving our helmet. So I want to point that out. I've been a public servant for nearly 20 years. My wife and I and our family, we moved here to Louisiana back in 2012, early spring. We bought a building downtown, and we've made some improvements to the lots and such, and we became active. We started going to the council meetings, mainly concerned with the derelict building that's next to ours. It was leaking, water was coming in, undermining our foundation in our building. And that's where we first gained some experience with dealing with City Hall here in Louisiana. At first it was amusing, but all of a sudden it just became, I can't even describe it. Well, after about a 1.5-year process, we went ahead and resolved our issues, made some improvements, and I'm not going to be able to finish my statements, so I do look forward to answering any questions afterwards.
Thank you. Mr. Chandler, you have 2 minutes.
I'd also like to thank everybody for coming out today. It is a very important thing to be here, and I believe that each one of you know that, and a lot of the residents of Louisiana know that. I'm a lifelong resident of Louisiana. I grew up here. I graduated from high school, and after that, I went to the Marine Corps. I spent 10 years in. I wish that I had brought some things here to show, but I'm a Purple Heart recipient, and I served as a leader for most of that time. I've done a lot of different things with logistics. I've been in different staff board meetings. I've been a platoon sergeant in the infantry, an artilleryman. I have many skills to bring to Louisiana. Most importantly, I'm very passionate about this town. I believe that I am the right person to help improve it and continue it on striving forward as it is going. I think it's getting better. I believe we need to fix things. I will not always agree. I'm not always a popular person for some of the things that I say and the decisions that I make, but I stand behind them because I think they're right, and I think that's important. One of the things I definitely want to do in City Council is I want to be the voice of the citizens. I've talked to a lot of people, and they've consistently told me that they want to have a better voice in town. Everybody says we need better streets. That's true. We need better, stronger infrastructure. It has to happen. At the same time, we need to develop our economy. We need to bring in businesses and industry. There's always 3 things people say, and they've always said it. We need better infrastructure, we need to fix up our downtown, and we need better jobs. We have the assets to do that. We need to make that plan and take it and execute it.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. And you will have the opportunity to answer the first question, which is this. And I will remind both candidates to please speak into the microphones so that we are able to pick it up for the Tribcast. Mr. Chandler, the question is this. Both of you have encouraged vigilance in keeping track of taxpayer dollars. What, if anything, do you believe needs to be changed in city government to ensure that that takes place? You have 2 minutes, sir.
That's an excellent question. I believe one of the biggest changes that needs to happen is something that is in effect. We need to be more transparent. I think that the citizens need to know what's going on. And like I've said before, if I'm elected, I intend to walk the ward more often. It's not just a campaign motive. I believe that the city council people, the mayor, they need to be out there in the streets talking to people, telling them what's going on. Don't have to do it all the time, but the public wants to hear. They want to know. If we're more transparent with what we do and we talk to the public about what's going on and explain things, they'll understand. They can. That's one of the most important things in any city government. I've seen that from the fields of Iraq all the way to small business and ASL Pewter. I worked there for 8 years. The more transparent you are with people and you explain things to them, the more satisfied they're going to be, and the happier effect you'll get.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Communication is a big thing, and it's part of transparency. However, you know, one of the biggest things that our city government can do is have a better accountability of their assets and how they spend their funding. Just for an example, when I was on City Council, Ward 1, representing the constituents, I initiated focus on our water rates for industrial users being set below our actual cost of producing. This was mind-blowing to me. I'm used to dealing with budgets. We operate with a $3.5, $4 million budget where I work. And when we look at these things and we're seeing our tax dollars go through our hands, we're not representing our constituents very well. I mean, I've also brought up something in the past as when I was on the city council, we had city employees receiving public utilities paid part of their compensation. Never heard of such a thing. Why were we doing this? None of the council people at the time didn't know because they didn't ask any of the questions. They didn't look at the budget. They didn't understand the budget. They didn't see what was happening or listening to the constituents on the streets. What I did was listen to the constituents on the streets and raise the question, why were we doing this? The answer was, or the question was addressed when the employee lost his job unrelated to this questioning, but, and I had no part of that. So really, accountability of our tax dollars is a big thing. Knowing what we have and where it's going is very vital. So, and I'm not sure if everyone really has a clear picture of where our tax dollars are going, and I want to change that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carter, you will have the first opportunity to answer this question, and it is this. April Epperson is serving as Deputy Police Chief. While she is certainly more than qualified for the job, the top administrative police department job is now open. How, if elected, can you and the other city council members expedite the hiring process? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Very well. When I was on City Council Ward 1, one of the questions I raised to the council was our hiring and promotion processes. I felt that we wasn't following state statutes. In fact, my inquiry initiated change of how our city conducted its hiring and promotional process and started following state statutes, Chapter 85, since we are a merit-based system. So hiring a new police chief would require the whole city council to be involved besides the hiring, the personnel hiring committee. We need to be diligent as far as going through an application process, being open, and seeing which way we need to go with our police department, which is in dire needs of some assistance from the community and from the council.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time wasn't up. I accidentally hit that. Mr. Chandler, you have 2 minutes to respond, sir.
When it comes to hiring a police chief or any important figure like that, City Council needs to take the time to consider it. All levels that are in that process must look at each applicant, weigh out who is the best, and then hire from there. So that expedite this procedure may not be a good idea. You need to take the time and focus so you have the right person for the job. Otherwise, you're setting up somebody who may not be qualified or may not be the best. You're setting that person up for failure. To do something like that is just as bad as, you know, not hiring anybody at all. Hire the best candidate, take the time that's needed to hire that person. That's as easy as that.
Thank you. Mr. Chandler, you will have the opportunity to answer this next question first, and it is this. Your ward contains a considerable chunk of Georgia Street, the most heavily traveled city-maintained thoroughfare in town. Because of that high traffic, Georgia Street is showing its age, and the city does not have any plan in place, long range, to take care of it. What would you recommend be done to make sure funds are in place to repave or rebuild it? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, there's a lot of information out about George Street. Everybody knows that it is in bad shape. I believe that to fix the infrastructure of all different places, not just George Street, we have to develop avenues of revenue. You can't just reach out and grab the money. It's just not there. You have to budget it in. And Louisiana has limited budgets. So you have to find new ways to get that money to come in. One of those ways is by promoting the city to get industry and also small businesses here. I've worked for both. I've worked at larger industries. I've worked at small businesses. And when you come to our town, they have to have a reason to stay here. We have to build up our infrastructure so they want to come here, they want to hire employees that will bring families here. It's going to cost a lot of money to fix George Street, but the people who hire or who vote into city council expect an answer. You know, one of the figures right now is at our current budget, it's going to take about 11 years to fix George Street. That's its current budget of what we spend right now on streets. So that's a long time. There's a way to expedite that, and that best way is to get new monies in. We have to find new ways to bring in revenue.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, you have 2 minutes, sir.
I have a little bit of a different viewpoint. We do have limited tax dollars. All right. Getting more money isn't quite that easy. We have to have an attraction here. This current council, when I was on it, we elected, because I was part of that, to cut our street maintenance budget from $60,000 down to $30,000. And at the time, I raised the question and was a little bit appalled by the reduction. But it was a gamble. I didn't know if the gamble was worthwhile, since we just spent about $48,000 for a DREAM initiative a few years prior. However, I think it starts with the grassroots. Let's spend our funding appropriately. With the limited funds that we got, we need to utilize all of our resources appropriately and to the best of ability before we can start laying out plans or groundwork for increasing any type of a tax revenue. We don't even know how much it's going to cost us to repair Georgia Street with the infrastructure, the water lines, the sewer lines, and everything else. And if there is out there, because I see a lot of shaking heads, I don't know it. So those are some of the things that we got to have answered and lay out a plan and groundwork and utilize our funding appropriately now. Let's stop the tax dollars from just being frivolously wasted. There are several examples that I can illustrate, but due to time, I will limit that till later.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, you will get the chance to answer this next question first, and it is this. Do you think more training should be required of new council members, particularly as it pertains to the Sunshine Law? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Absolutely. Any training is a good thing for any of us, whether it's in private life or in public life, because we don't retain much of that from year to year. However, if elected, I think the opportunity is always offered to all the council people to attend that training. The one thing that I think that I may have is I got 20 years of experience, or nearly 20 years of experience in city government, dealing with budgets, dealing with councils, dealing with committees, dealing with planning and zoning, dealing with building inspections, dealing with administrative actions as a department head. So I have expectations of our department heads, and I think the mayor does as well, and I believe he is trying to slowly bring them up to speed and give them that responsibility to take action as appropriate.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chandler, you have 2 minutes.
I think that training is very good for just about anybody. It's a constant way of improving yourself, your community, and your organization. that training should not just be limited to new council members. I believe that it should also be everybody who's in the city government. You want to understand sunshine laws better, then you should train everybody, including those with a lot of experience. Because it's obvious that sometimes those laws are not always set in with people. Sometimes they're being misunderstood. So I definitely think that training is a good thing, despite how much experience you have. Because in a lot of cases, I've seen people in different situations who have been very experienced that also need more.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chandler, you will get the first opportunity to answer our toss-up question, which comes from the audience. Do you have plans to get acquainted with city employees and city-owned locations to learn what is happening? You have 2 minutes, sir.
This is a tougher question for me because I am a reasonably likable guy. I like to talk to everybody. Not always, as I said before, I don't always make the popular decisions. I do what I think's right. So yes, I would talk to as many people as often as I can to know what they need, because I think that's important. It's always led me in good ways. In the military, I talked to the people who were under me. I had a very successful career in the Marine Corps because of that fact. The Marines have a very odd way of looking at things sometimes to civilian people. Their first priority in a mission is mission accomplishment. The second is troop welfare. A lot of times I didn't get along with staff NCOs because I put troop welfare ahead of it in a lot of cases. I think in the city like Louisiana, we need to do that. We need to talk to everybody, including the employees of the city and business owners, to know what they need. You can't fix things unless you know what people need. Despite any kind of bickering or disagreement you may have, you have to set that aside and talk to everybody. It doesn't matter who they are, what they've done in the past. You have to move forward. You have to know what they need. It's always served me well.
Thank you. We will now go to our closing statements, and Mr. Chandler. Oh, I'm sorry. I did it again, didn't I, Bob? That's twice. Usually it's just one. Sorry. Mr. Carter, you have 2 minutes to answer the question, please.
Thank you, Brent. Communication is a big factor. Knowing what's going on within our city government through our departments, what's happening out on the streets, what's happening, downtown, west of town, wherever it may be. So it's vital to have that open line of communication. I'm going to fall back to a previous question that Brent asked earlier about our city administrator and supervision. That's the key person in all this, is hiring the right city administrator that has the communication skills to let the council know, let alone the mayor, what's happening at the department level, what projects are being worked on, what streets are being worked on, what's happening, because we get asked from our constituents, what are our city employees doing? They want to see it. Not just when it's in the springtime and potholes are being filled, but throughout the whole year. So falling back on the supervision side of it, that falls under the city administrator to communicate that with his administration and the mayor and the city council.
Thank you. Now we will go to closing statements, and Mr. Chandler, Mr. Carter had the opening volley, so you get the chance to go first this time. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming here. I know it's getting late in the evening. I appreciate you, paying attention. I'd like to leave it that, again, I've had a very successful career in the Marine Corps. I've worked for small business. In ASL Pewter, I stayed there for 7 years. I've seen the ins and outs of small business. I've seen how other cities could help lure businesses away from here with incentives. Incentives that we too can take advantage of. They're out there. We can do that. I'm the chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. We've been expediting procedures in that to make it better and more effective for new businesses here. And it's been working. We've approved certificates of appropriateness, and we're getting ready to help more organizations in the town to make this town better. I'm currently the president of Louisiana Economic Development Committee. I was voted in for both unanimously. Louisiana Economic Development Committee, although I'd like to take a lot of the credit, I can't, is a great group. City council, the city government, we need more people representing in that group. Right now there's limited representation. So the same thing that I said earlier about having a voice for the community, we need to have that voice everywhere in every aspect of our community. That voice needs to be heard. We also need to supervise what's going on. Mr. Carter's right. There has to be supervision at every level. If you vote for me, you'll get that. I was a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps. I'm a leader of small businesses, and I want to hope that I'm a leader of this community. If you elect me, you'll have that person.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carter, you have 2 minutes.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'm asking for your support and your vote. I think city government is here for 5 basic principles why any city government is organized. That's to provide public service through the police, through the fire, to provide quality water, to provide sewers, and take care of the streets. It's pretty simple, and that's why we pay taxes. I think in order for us to come to that end and provide that to the citizens, due diligence must be given by everyone from a grassroots perspective. Not just city council, but each one of the citizens voicing their opinion. The LEDC is an excellent group. The Providence Project, bringing in some of the new businesses, is an excellent group. It's a standalone, separate, basically with a partnership with the city. But City Blaylock's done a great job of doing that. Now I'm sure Bryce will take on that role. We need to continue these things. Conserve our spending to make our dollars produce the biggest bang for the buck. Then, when we develop our plans and go forward, knowing where we're heading, we know what it's going to cost us. We know what we can ask the citizens if any type of initiative is needed to fund something. Without that, we're never going to have the citizens' trust. So I hope you trust me and vote for me April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. What a tough choice. I'm glad I live in the 4th Ward. How about a hand for these 2 gentlemen? Shake hands, guys. We will take one more 5-minute break, and then we'll get to our last forum of the evening for the 4th Ward candidates. Thank you.
I was looking for it. I did not see him.
Sonny Stevens, I haven't seen him.
Sorry,
I know, I wanted to say, I didn't hear my problem either. Hi, how are you? Good to see you too. Yeah, I'm good, good. Yeah, I hope this is something good. But congratulations again. Yeah, awesome. I'm happy to get to hear you. I want to give you some money. So. Oh, good, good. Thanks.
He's the best guy.
I'm actually out about. Sometimes I go out here.
He's always working.
Not anymore. What did hey. Oh, she's ready to do job. Yeah. Stay locked in here. Oh, actually,
Oh, she said no, man.
Yeah, do okay. I feel like some answers to that was awesome. trying to come here tomorrow, and I don't want to sound right. Yeah, no, you sounded great. So I got big shoes for last night.
But I was trying to make sure I lived up to the
You got quite a big guy here.
I was all that.
I wish you You answered it well. You could have kind of good things in there. You just left out economic.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats, and we'll proceed with the last council forum of the evening. Mrs. Hoffman, they're a little bit more rowdy than they were the last time. Will you get up and use your teacher voice on them, please? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are way ahead of schedule, which is good. So we're about an hour ahead of schedule, well, 45 minutes ahead of schedule, so that's good. We'll get out of here earlier. A couple things I do want to mention. Again, you can see this on Tribcast because it is being recorded by the People's Tribune. And you can also see it in the People's Tribune and the Louisiana Press Journal next week. We thank the media for doing that, and we thank them for submitting a lot of the questions. Bob and his crew set all this up. He probably did it all by himself, knowing Bob, or just with like one other person, or two other people. One other person who is walking around now. He's the only person up, so now he's sat down. So there he is again. He's walking around now. Those are the two people who set all of this up, but they would really appreciate it if a couple of us would stay around and help stack the chairs and roll them into that room over there after we're done, okay? So let's try to do that. This is the 4th Ward City Council race. You only see one person up on the stage because Sonny Stevens was unable to make it tonight. His wife is over here. We do appreciate her attendance. The other candidate is Chris Ketters. Mr. Stevens did not provide a statement to me to read, so we will go right to the opening statement of Mr. Ketters. Sir, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. First, I want to thank you, Brent, and also the American Legion for hosting tonight's events. You know, he mentioned that it was early in the night, but I think we want to get out of here pretty quick. So, and especially me up here by myself. So let me tell you a little quick stuff about myself. I grew up on a family farm. My brother and dad still operate the farm today. I'm currently the director of the Louisiana Chamber of Commerce and Louisiana Visitors and Convention Bureau. Before I took that position, I was the on-air talent for KJFM for 4 years. And again, in the interest of keeping this short, if I could pick one thing out that I could tell you about why I'm running for the Ward 4 council seat, it would be for the same reason that I was actually interested in the chamber job, and that was for the potential. Louisiana has so much potential, whether it's the centrally located place that we're in the United States for shipping, the rare access to 2 Class A railroads that we have, or even the availability to ship goods right on the Mississippi down to the Gulf. All those things and more give Louisiana an upper hand that most cities would dream of. But now it's the time that we have to take advantage of that potential, and so future generations can call Louisiana home. that is why I'm running for city council. Thanks.
Thank you. You may think you're running long, but you're not, so you may get some questions here. What specific recommendations would you propose, if any, to improve city government? You have 2 minutes.
The first thing that pops into my head with that, going back to my history being in the farm community, I was very involved in FFA in high school. And one of the big things that I was involved with was parliamentary procedure. And going to the city council meetings over the past few years, I hate to kind of irk. I'm like, ooh, no, that's not how you do it. So I would have to say, out of some of the things that I would like to see changed, the parliamentary procedure rules and operations at a city council meeting are the 4 most important thing to me.
Thank you.
You don't have to worry about the 2-minute timer. I won't hit it.
That's okay. I'm still going to do it. Your ward contains a strong commercial district that has grown with the addition of a grocery store and other businesses. What can the city do to keep this economic momentum going?
Well, we're actually already doing that. We've already made the initiatives with Community Edge to get the process of getting a new economic development director here in Louisiana. And that's the first step of what we have to do. We have to bring that person in, somebody that has the experience, and that's what we're doing with the resume that was put out there. I was very fortunate to be involved with the committee, with the city, to work with Community Edge, and the potential there is just great. So we have great potential to bring in some great business. The key to that is that we have to make sure that we support that economic development director, because he is going to be key to Louisiana's success. So the city council, also the administration, and pretty much everybody involved with the city needs to give the economic development director his full support, because that is critical to bring those future businesses into Louisiana.
Thank you. Here's another question. Do you think the city should explore contracting water services from a giant, I'm sorry, let me start over. Greg, that's your fault for throwing me off and saying that I had 4 errors instead of 2. Do you think the city should explore contracting water services from an agent such as Alliance?
You know, I've seen that question. I've heard some people talk about that. You know, I have to give kudos to Kelly Henderson for him coming in as the city administrator for the interim and really doing a great job with the water plant. I mean, he's made, progress with that. Sorry. Oh, that was quick. It was like 20 seconds. Wow. He's made a lot of progress with, making sure the water plant's up to code, and we're working on that still. I don't know the exact numbers of how much Alliance would cost if they came into town, but I have heard that, yeah, you may have an upfront cost of, say, $100,000, but that's not the start of the cost. There's a lot more involved with it. So, we are working towards getting great staff in place. We have Kelly in place that obviously knows what he's doing with the water plant. So I would say no to that. I do not think that's the proper thing to do at this time.
Thank you. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm sorry. Let me ask you this question. What are voters telling you they want?
There's a couple things, actually. In talking with voters going around my ward, 2 things that really pop up is and I wasn't aware of this at first. A lot of people, and actually let me step back, where I came from, the use of salts was pretty much the main thing. I never even heard of chat till I moved to Louisiana. So when I've gone around to talk to some of the different people in Ward 4, that was one of the things they were concerned about, all this chat on the streets and all the dust and all the issues that you have with it. And they said, well, why not salt? And so that's a question I would like to ask once I'm elected to city council. The other thing that's actually I had an experience with as director of the chamber was a phone call I received. It was probably about a year ago now. I received a phone call from a lady that was visiting town, and her daughter was on the sidewalk along Georgia Street, and she tripped. And her first thought was, why does the city have such bad sidewalks? And most people would think that it's owned by the city. That's not the case. The individual people that own the property own those sidewalks. So that was the other issue that's come up, was that we need to do something about these sidewalks. And that is something I think that the city council and the administration needs to take a look at in the coming years.
Thank you. Some of what you talked about in that answer goes to this next question. Every fall, the air is filled with smoke. Every winter, the air is filled with dust. What can the city do about leaf burning and turning our streets into gravel roads?
I've had experiences where we've been sitting at home on, a Saturday afternoon, having a lazy Saturday afternoon, and all of a sudden you're like, what is that smell? And you realize that the neighbor's burning leaves. And, I agree with that. I think that you have the right to do that. I do also think that we have some ordinances or some rules in place of when you can do that. But I do think that we need to add on there that's possibly, if the wind's blowing more than 5 or 10 or 15 miles per hour, maybe we shouldn't be burning leaves that day. So that would be my answer to that. I believe that you should be able to do it. However, there may be some more extra work that needs to be involved with that. For the dust, again, going back to maybe taking a look at the use of salt, we've taken a look at it, and what I've always heard about salt is it's too expensive. But you don't put it into account with Chad about how many times a city worker goes down that street where you might be able to do it one time with salt, you're doing it 3 or 4 times with Chad. Secondly, we haven't really analyzed how much the cost of salt and beet juice is and how good that's going to do. And then thirdly, I should say, we have not focused on what it does to our sewer lines. That Chad goes down our sewer lines, who knows what happens, how much damage that does. So going back to the dust and all that, maybe it's time we take a look at salt.
Thank you. Your toss-up question comes from the audience, and it's this. I am a senior citizen who attends our monthly meetings where important issues are discussed. The welfare of the city is discussed, and we are asked to participate in those meetings. Why have you not attended these meetings?
I'm going to say that I'm going to have to decline to answer that question because I'm not sure what meetings that pertains to.
City council meetings.
City council.
And you're one of the people listed on here in this question. Now, again, this question is from an audience member, and the question was, why do you not attend these meetings?
Well, I would actually have to disagree with that thought. I do attend the city council meetings. My girlfriend can attest that she gives me a text message every couple hours, where are you at? And I have to respond, I'm at the city council meeting. So yes, I have attended the city council meetings. I've actually sponsored things and talked about things at city council meetings, including, I'm trying to think of some examples. I came for Color Fest when we had to get approval for that. We also talked about the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting that we had. We had a public meeting last week that we got to discuss about what things we would like to see in Louisiana. Had great community output for that. And to lead into that previous question you just asked was, I told the city council we were having a public and zoning meeting or planning and zoning meeting that night at the city council meeting. So unfortunately, maybe I'm just a little too quiet and a little too in the corner there. Maybe you're just not seeing me, but I am at the city council meetings.
Thank you. It's time for your closing statement, sir. You have 2 minutes.
As I mentioned in my opening remarks, our wonderful town has some great potential with all the ingredients to bring big and small businesses alike. What we need now is city council members that will be looking forward and not necessarily looking in the rearview mirror. I believe that we are on the brink of some amazing things for Louisiana, and with your help, I believe we can get there. If elected, one of my goals will be to work with fellow ward representative in Ward 4, Lori Lewis, and spend time to connect with residents of our ward. Lori and I mutually agree that to make this community better, we must reach out to our constituents, see where they stand on issues, and learn more about the problems that they are facing. By doing this, we are creating a better, more informed community, and your elected officials are actually working for you. And with your input and support, we can turn our community's potential into reality. Again, thanks to Brent, and thanks to also the Tribcast and the American Legion for sponsoring tonight. And make sure to go vote April 7th. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's have a hand for Mr. Ketters and Mr. Stevens. And finally, that concludes our evening. But before you go, thank you for sitting through this. I saw a media report about a candidates forum that the Quincy Public School Board held the other night. They didn't have anywhere near this kind of crowd. That's Quincy, 40,000 people. I think we should be proud, so give yourselves a hand. And if any of you are free to stay, please do and help pick up the chairs. Thank you. And go vote April 7th.